Good morning and welcome back to J&L Adventures. And as you saw, it's been a while since I've been on the bike, so I needed to definitely get on the bike, get a little exercise done. Felt good just to get the blood flowing and the heart pumping. I'm really ready to get back and get on the road, but today is not the day to do that. So looks like we got some rain coming, and so I figured today is a good day just to get a little reloading done. So, but I'm gonna change it up a little bit. So I'm not gonna be doing the 284 today. Today, I'm gonna work on well, wait a minute. Before I say this, when I say it, don't click off, okay? Because I know there's some haters out there when it comes to this. But today, I'm reloading a 6.5 Creedmoor. So, hopefully you're still there, you didn't click away. So, I hunt with a 6.5 Creedmoor, and today I'm gonna take you through my hunting round for that round. So, so what kind of got this started the other day is a buddy at church was asking if anybody reloaded 6.5 Creedmoor, and I said, yeah, I do. And he said, well, I got some brass if you want it. And I said, oh, sure, I'll take it. So, always on the hunt for brass. He had a little bit of Lapua, and he had some Hornady and some other brass in there. I don't remember offhand what it was. So we got to talking about our hunting rounds, and so he likes to shoot solid copper bullets, and he's been shooting, I think, the Barnes, and I don't remember which one. And I was telling him I shoot the Nosler E-tips, and he was saying that his groupings are not, consistent or that great. So I told him I would make him up a couple of my hunting rounds. He could try them out and see if it makes a difference. See if the E-tips shoot any better. So what I'm going to do today is just take you through what my formula is for this particular round for hunting, and then I'm gonna make him up, about 10 rounds or so he can try them out in his gun and see if they group any better. Now, for me, I'm not a long range hunter, and where I hunt, it's very difficult to find anything, over 100 yards for the most part. I hunt in southeast Texas, piney woods, and it's pretty thick. So, a 100-yard shot for me is about the max I'm gonna get for where I hunt at. And so, this round has performed very well for me over the years. I've been using this particular formula for probably the past, 4 or 5 years. And it works well for me. So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and video this. Anybody out there that shoots a 6.5 Creedmoor, you might have some other options, some different powders, but for my setup and this bullet, this works pretty well. This all groups. I hadn't grouped this in a long time, so it's definitely sub MOA. But I can't remember offhand what my last grouping was. Like I said, sub MOA at 100 yards is great for me in my hunting scenario. Okay, so now I'm gonna say this. This round is set up for my Ruger American 6.5 Creedmoor. It will shoot out of my Bergara, but I'm gonna not set this round for him. I'm gonna pretty much use Sammy spec a little bit. So I'm not gonna, this is not Fireform brass. This is gonna be brand new Lapua brass. I'm gonna neck tension it, and I'm gonna use the same powder charge and seating depth, and you know, I'll test it in my Bagara, make sure that it chambers okay, and then we'll see if it chambers in his. If not, I'll redo them and we'll get a measurement on his rifle if need be. But I'm not going crazy long with these, so they're probably pretty standard rounds. I got my reloading manual out and I was going back through the specs on the 6.5 Creedmoor and looking at my notes and what I've got set up here, and pretty much it is to spec. And if I remember right, when I developed this, I think I was keeping it spec because I didn't want to have any issues with fitting into clips if I went longer and they didn't fit. So basically, our overall length on this is going to be 2.710, and that is what my reloading manual says for 120 grain. So what I use is Superformance, and I'm using right at 46 grains, 46.02, 46.04, somewhere in there. We're going to do it at 46.02 for today's load. And again, I'm using a 120 grain Nosler E-tip. These are solid copper. And then I'm going to be using some new unfired Lapua brass, small rifle primers. And I'm going to take some measurements, so we'll actually use a couple of new items that I've got here on the reloading desk too. So that I haven't shown yet. I hadn't done any reloading since I've got these in. But one thing we're going to talk about a little bit, and that is this right here. This is the Short Action Customs comparator. So I bought the base set and then I added a few more caliber inserts. So we're going to use this as my bullet and case comparator. Now, we're not really going to do a whole lot with this today on this round because, again, I'm not using Fireform brass or anything or doing setback on the neck. The other item that I got is, I talked about this a while back, and talking about the funnel. So this is the funnel that I have been using, just a plastic, I think this is either a Hornady or a Lee, I don't remember offhand. Kind of a universal. But I get a lot of powder that sticks in this thing. And I have to constantly tap it just to make sure all the powder gets through. So I was watching some YouTube videos the other day and I saw a deal by F-Class John. He was kind of comparing a lot of different funnels, and so I ended up going with the RCBS funnel, and it has the funnel and it also has the screw-in adapters for the specific type rounds that you're shooting or loading. So I'm anxious to give this a try, and hopefully I'm not sitting there tapping on the funnel all the time trying to get powder to go through. Based on what I watched on his videos, I mean, it looks like it flows pretty well and didn't have issues. So we're going to be testing this out today for sure. Okay, so let me get some brass. Let me get some primers. We'll get the super trickler turned on and we'll get to loading. To prepare to load this 6.5, I've got it on a separate turret than my 284. So I'm going to pull the head off of this, and it's pretty easy. It has a bolt and head up here in the top. And when you do this, if you don't have one of these turret presses or not familiar with it, there is a little ball bearing underneath it that kind of indexes where everything goes. So when you pull that off, you want to be careful that it doesn't fall off and go running all over the place. So here in the back, this is where it actually indexes. There is a spring, and then that little ball bearing sits right on that spring. And then when you look at the bottom of these turrets, there is an indentation, and that's where that ball bearing sits in. And that way you know it indexes on the right spot. So what I want to do now is line this up and sit on that ball bearing and put some pressure on it so it doesn't go anywhere while I line up the bolt and get that started. And it's got an Allen head on it, so just use your Allen wrench. I use these T-handles because I can get a little more pressure on them, a little more leverage. And you just want that good and tight, and then when you turn it, you'll hear that ball bearing lock into place. So then we just put our little handle in there to adjust to the proper die. Okay, so that part's done. So I've got to check, make sure I've got the right shell holder in place, and then we will go ahead and neck tension. We'll go ahead and we'll do a full length sizing on the brass. I ran them through the comparator with my Fireform brass, and so they are within spec, so there shouldn't be any issues chambering or those into his rifle. So I've got my 6.5 Creedmoor dies up here, and now here on my 6.5 Creedmoor, I've got a few different things set up. It's a little different setup than what I have on my 284. So this one here, I've got a 21st century neck tensioner, and then I've got my full length sizer, and then I've got my bullet seating die Forester over here. So so I'm going to go ahead and, even though these are new brass, I'm going to go ahead and full length size. I'll run them through the neck tension. While I'm full length sizing, I'll go ahead and prime them. For these, I use a Winchester primer and small rifle. And like I said, they seem to shoot really well for me. So, okay. So we're going to run through these 10 rounds, get them resized, and go from there. Okay, so those are all primed, sized, neck tensioned, And we're going to move over here to the super trickler, and we're going to get the powder loaded in, and we're going to do 46.02 grains of super performance. And we're going to try out our new funnel and see how that works. Okay, so just to try this out, this is the Short Action Customs case comparator, and so I've got the 6.5 insert in there, and so I'm going back to my resized brass that I tore apart to make this round, just to make sure I had all the right measurements. And so when I put that in the comparator, I'm reading 1.4875. So yeah, 1.4875. Now, if you look in your reloading manual, you know, SAMI spec says to the shoulder it should be no more than 1.490. So what I reload for my Ruger American is below that. And again, that's 1.4875. So I'm measuring all of this Lapua that I just resized and neck tension. So they're showing 1.483. And just to show you how much better this comparator is compared to some of the other ones I've been using, that is 1.4825, so half a thousandths difference. $1.4825, it's the same. 1.4825. 1.483. 1.482. 1.4815. 1.483. 1.482. 1.4815. So had a couple in there that was 1/1000ths, but for the most part they were all either 0.5 thousandths or maybe 1/1000ths. But on some of my other comparators, I would get from brass to brass, I would get 1.5 to 2/1000ths difference measurements in that. So to me, that just shows, you know, how much better in quality these comparators are. So as I get back to reload more of my 284, and I'll do, and I actually start bumping the shoulder back and checking them, I'll have a better idea. But just getting consistent measurements across the board like that tells me already it's a better comparator than what I had. So when I actually get to seat the bullets, we'll also compare those and see base to ogive what kind of measurements we're getting, and see, you know, how those numbers come out. But so far I like it. Okay, so let's get some powder loaded in this thing, and then we'll fill these things up. So what I did, offhand, I couldn't find my notes yesterday. So what I ended up doing was I took apart one of my hunting rounds and measured everything. So then after I did all that, I found my notes on this load. So So what this is the powder charge that came out of the one that that I took apart. So I'll reload that one here in a minute, and but I'm going to go ahead and get some powder loaded in our super trickler. And we are going with the Hodgdon Superformance. Don't need a ton of powder in there for these few that we're doing. I always like to put the cup in there because when you pour that powder in, it's going to go somewhere. And I just brush out those particles just so they don't interfere with my weights. And then I look in there and I dump that back. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is we got to go into our menu, and well, we got to go back and select our powder. So we're going to select Hodgdon Superformance. Okay, we're going to close that. We're going to close that, and we're going to go back and make sure it does say Hodgdon Superformance. It does, so we're going to now erase the 51 grains, and we're going to go to the 46.02 grains. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do plus or minus 2/100ths of a grain. So we're going to zero out our scale, and we're going to run that. Let's see what we get. Okay, overcharged. So on my RCBS funnel, I'm pulling out the 6.5 adapter. And I'm going to screw that in. Okay, so when that thing goes in, okay, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but fits good, and you know, you really can't see inside of that, but looking at it, fits well. I don't see where it really hangs up on that, so, or where anything will hang up on it. So we're going to take our funnel, and I'm just going to pour it in. Man, that's awesome. No hang-ups, no tapping of the funnel, nothing. So I like it. It's good. Now, measuring the overall coal is not the most accurate seating depth, but I do want it to be within spec for Sammy, and that way he can make sure that it fits his gun. And I'll check it in both of my 6.5s just to make sure it fits in mine. Just making like 0.5 increment checks just to get it to where I need to be. Okay, that's where it's set up to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bullet comparator from Short Action Customs, and we'll get a measurement on this one, and then we'll just check the others as we do them as well, just to kind of see how this thing measures out. So So 2.071 is what I'm reading on this one. So 2.071. Okay. So let's take one of our new ones here. Put that in. Get this bullet. Got some there that are a little tarnished, but I don't want to give him any tarnish, so we're going to get him some nice bright ones. Okay, so double check that. All right, so overall length, I'm at Sammy spec. 2.071 is what my original round measured, and these I'm measuring at 2.079, 2.078 and a half, okay. Which again, my brass was a little different on the one that I had shot. So let's see how consistent we are with these new ones here. .077. 2.078. 2.077 to 77 and a half. Two point oh seven seven. 2.077. .077. So again, really good consistency out of that. Didn't see a whole lot of play. There's not really a lot of wiggle room inside of there. So I mean, these seem to be cut very precise, so that you know, there's not a lot of play when you're trying to get a measurement. So so I think I'm really gonna like this comparator. I think that's gonna help me out a whole lot when I'm going through my process. Definitely checking the shoulder bump and base to ogive when I'm doing that. So hopefully that will add some consistency to my reloads by having a good comparator. Again, this is not a cheap set by any means. And if you're reloading as many calibers as I reload, then it really adds up when you start adding additional inserts. So so I think, you know, initially if you buy the kit, which when you buy the kit, you get both the long and the short adapter here, and then you get, I think it's 3 or 4 inserts, and then you get to pick and choose what those inserts are. That, it's on their website, I can't remember, it's maybe $175 if you buy the kit. I'll look it up and I'll post it down in the description. I'll put a link in there to their website so you can see that if you're interested in this. And then I think every insert was like another $30. So by the time, you know, like I said, if you're adding up a lot of calibers that you're reloading for, then it can get a little pricey. So, but I think it's a good tool. I think I'm going to be happy with this one, where I wasn't real happy with the others. So, well, I've got 10 hunting rounds ready for him to try out. He can see if he likes the E-tips, if they shoot better, group better for him and his gun. I'm going to take these to the house. I'm going to try them out in my Bergara just to make sure that they chamber okay there and no issues. Well, I think this is going to do it for this video, and I hope you're enjoying the content, and sorry if it's getting confusing on what I'm going to be posting next, because I really don't know. It's whatever the weather dictates, as far as if I'm outside working on something, or if I'm indoors working on some reloading stuff, or heading to the gun range, or whatever. But I hope you're enjoying the content, and if you do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow the channel. I've just got over 600 subscribers, so thank y'all for that. That's fantastic. And you know, I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers, so I can hopefully, you know, get this channel to start doing something. And I appreciate all of the comments and things coming in. I love interacting with all of you that post comments and ask questions, and love just sharing all of this stuff. So so keep them coming. Keep the comments coming, questions coming. I love to read them all and try to answer all of them if I can. So hope to see you back here next week, and I hope you're enjoying life now. And just remember, all of this is temporary, and there's no point in being, you know, miserable from day to day. So figure out what you can do to start enjoying life. And hopefully we'll see you back here next week.